Welcome to another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at what I think is one of the most incredible journeys a person can go on, learning a new language.
Yeah.
We've got this fascinating YouTube transcript from a guy named Jack, and he went from knowing zero English to being completely fluent.
That's amazing.
And this isn't just like a how-to guide. This is about, the emotional and the psychological roller coaster that comes with that kind of growth,
Yeah. And it's funny how no matter what it is, whether we're talking about a new language or mastering a skill or just anything that really pushes us outside of our comfort zone, there are these universal threads that connect all of our experiences.
Absolutely.
And what I think is so powerful about these first-person accounts like we get from Jack is that they offer these raw and unfiltered insights that you just wouldn't get from a textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. And right from the start, Jack doesn't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. He talks about feeling like a total outsider, just totally shut out from conversations just because of the language barrier. It's tough. You can almost feel that frustration, that longing to connect, but just being held back because you don't have the words.
Absolutely. And that feeling of being overwhelmed is something that I think we can all relate to.
Yeah.
It's like you're staring up at this mountain and you're like, how on earth am I ever going to climb there?
Right.
But what Jack's story so beautifully illustrates is this power of just breaking things down.
Yeah.
He starts by confiding to his parents.
Okay.
Thankfully, they're incredibly supportive.
That's huge.
Huge. And this is where things get really interesting, right? So instead of just diving headfirst into all these complex grammar rules, Jack and his parents decide, you know what? Let's focus on the most fundamental building block of language.
Okay.
The alphabet.
I love that detail.
Yeah.
Because it just seems so wonderfully old school in today's world.
Absolutely.
Of all these apps, language learning apps and everything else.
Right.
And yet, it's such a good reminder that even these really daunting,
huge tasks
are built on these very basic, fundamental elements.
Exactly. And think about it. His parents understood that mastering the alphabet would not only equip him with this essential knowledge, but it would also give him this initial sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
That spark of, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's about building momentum, proving to yourself that progress is possible, even if it starts with these baby steps.
Yeah, and those baby steps lead him to the next stage. Learning these simple, everyday words.
Right.
Like cat, dog, apple. And how does he tackle this? Flashcards. Good old-fashioned picture on one side, word on the other. It seems almost quaint, right?
Yeah, it does. It's like delightfully retro in a way.
It is. Yeah. But, but the science.
But the science behind it is powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. So every time you look at a flashcard and you try to recall that word, you're forcing your brain to actively retrieve that information.
Right.
And this active recall process is key to strengthening those neural pathways.
Okay.
And moving information from short-term to long-term memory.
So it's like you're doing reps at the gym for your brain.
Exactly. Reps for your brain. I love that.
Yeah. He even talks about carrying those flashcards everywhere.
Oh, wow.
To school, to hang out with friends, even just waiting for the bus.
That's commitment.
Yeah, it speaks to his commitment, but also to that idea that consistency sometimes trumps intensity.
Yes.
It's about those small, regular efforts that kind of accumulate over time.
That's such a crucial point for anyone who's feeling overwhelmed by a learning goal. Don't get bogged down thinking you need hours and hours of study. No. What matters most is showing up, even if it's for 15 minutes a day. Make that consistent effort. Those small wins add up, believe me.
They do. And he also talks about how it's not just about rote repetition,
Right.
He finds ways to make it fun.
Yep.
He turns the flashcards into games with friends. He's singing along to English songs.
I love that.
It seems like he almost intuitively understands that when we enjoy something,
it sticks.
Yeah.
It sticks. And, neuroscience backs this up. When we're engaged and we're having fun, our brains release dopamine.
Right.
Which not only boosts our mood, but it also enhances learning and memory. So him turning these flashcards into a game with his friends is a perfect example of this in action.
Yeah.
He's turning what could be this dry, repetitive task into something social and enjoyable. And that makes all the difference.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a great example, of how we can kind of hack our own learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just about these tricks and techniques.
Right.
What really shines through in Jack's story, it is his just sheer determination. He is actively seeking out opportunities to engage with the language.
Yeah.
To make it a part of his life.
And that's where things take a really interesting turn.
Okay.
He starts to move beyond the flashcards and the textbooks.
Right.
And he's immersing himself in English through all sorts of these creative avenues.
Interesting.
Children's books, pop songs, cartoons.
Wow.
He even mentions giving karaoke a try.
That's great.
Which I love.
Yeah. What's so brilliant about this is that he's exposing himself to all these different accents and vocabulary and colloquialisms.
Right.
This kind of diverse input is crucial for developing a really nuanced understanding of a language.
Yeah.
It's about going beyond just that textbook knowledge.
There's this one detail that really stuck with me.
Okay.
He talks about reading a children's book about life on a farm in Australia, and it sparks this whole new interest in him.
Wow.
Simply because of the vocabulary he encountered.
That's so cool.
It illustrates how language can really open doors to entirely new worlds and passions.
It's a reminder that language isn't just this tool for communication.
Yeah.
It's a gateway to different cultures and perspectives and ways of life.
Absolutely.
And as Jack shows us, it can spark curiosity and it can lead us down these unexpected paths of discovery.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Right.
He's very honest about the challenges, particularly when it came to actually speaking English.
Yep.
He even admits to pretending to be sick to avoid English class.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, and it's that fear of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Of sounding foolish. That can be so paralyzing.
It's true. But it's important to remember that making mistakes is an integral part of the learning process.
Right.
Research shows that our brains actually learn more from our errors than from our successes.
He talks about that initial fear and that self-doubt, almost like he had to convince himself that it was okay to stumble. Yeah.
To have an accent to not sound perfect.
Absolutely.
And it's a hurdle, I think, so many of us face.
Yeah.
Not just with language, but with anything new we're trying to learn.
Oh, absolutely. And it often stems from this misconception that fluency means speaking perfectly without any hesitation.
Right.
But the truth is, even native speakers make mistakes.
Yeah.
Fluency is about being able to communicate effectively, to express yourself, to connect with others.
Right.
And that takes practice and, yes, making mistakes along the way.
And thankfully, Jack had a really strong support system.
Oh, good.
To kind of help him navigate those challenges.
Yeah.
He talks about having these patient friends who are willing to practice with him.
That's so important.
To gently correct him and to celebrate his progress.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's such a crucial aspect of learning, isn't it?
It is.
Having that community, whether it's family or friends or a group of fellow learners, it can make all the difference. It creates that safe space to experiment, to take risks, and to receive that encouragement when we inevitably stumble.
He specifically mentions joining a language exchange group.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I think is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
It's about proactively seeking out those opportunities to practice and interact with others who are on the same journey.
And think about the benefits that go beyond just language acquisition.
Yeah.
These types of interactions can help build confidence, reduce social anxiety, and broaden our perspectives by connecting us with people from all these different backgrounds and cultures.
And it's not just about those formal practice settings either.
Right.
Jack starts to incorporate English into his everyday life.
Okay.
Reading signs, navigating the grocery store, even challenging himself to have these simple conversations with strangers.
This is where the rubber really meets the road.
Yeah.
It's about taking those skills you've been honing in isolation and applying them to real world situations. And as Jack discovers, it's in those moments of spontaneous interaction that the language truly starts to feel like his own. Like he's turning everyday life into this language learning playground.
He is, and he doesn't shy away from talking about the setbacks either.
Yeah.
Those inevitable plateaus that I think we all encounter.
We all hit them.
On the learning journey.
Yeah.
And he mentions feeling discouraged at times, questioning if he was making any real progress.
Those moments of doubt are so normal.
Yeah.
And I think it's really refreshing that Jack is honest about them. It's easy to get caught up in that highlight reel that we often see on social media.
Right.
where everyone seems to be achieving fluency overnight.
Yeah.
But the reality is that learning a language, like any worthwhile pursuit, is a process.
Yeah.
There will be ups and downs, periods of rapid growth, and times when it feels like you're stuck in a rut.
But what's inspiring is how he navigates those challenges. He talks about setting small, achievable goals.
Okay.
Focusing on celebrating those tiny victories along the way, and reminding himself why he embarked on this journey in the first place.
That's such a powerful strategy for staying motivated.
Yeah.
When we break down a large, intimidating goal into smaller, more manageable steps.
Right.
It not only feels less overwhelming, but it also allows us to experience that sense of accomplishment more frequently.
Yeah.
And those little wins, they fuel our motivation.
Yeah.
They propel us forward, even when the going gets tough.
It'd have been easy for him to give up, to tell himself it was too hard.
Absolutely.
That he wasn't cut out for it.
For sure.
But Jack's story is a testament to the power of perseverance.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that setbacks are not failures. They're simply opportunities to learn, adjust, and keep growing.
Yeah.
And that's a message that extends far beyond language learning.
Absolutely.
It's about cultivating that resilience, that grit, that enables us to pursue any goal with passion and determination.
And in the end, it's not just about achieving fluency in English.
Right.
It's about the personal transformation that he undergoes throughout this whole journey.
Yeah.
He starts out feeling isolated, insecure, unsure of himself. But by the end of his story, there's this palpable sense of confidence.
You have connection.
And empowerment.
Of empowerment.
That's the real magic of learning, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about acquiring new knowledge or skills.
Right.
It's about expanding our horizons, pushing beyond our perceived limitations, and discovering these hidden reserves of strength and resilience within ourselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Jack's journey, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take today toward a goal that might feel daunting or overwhelming?
I like that.
It doesn't have to be this grand gesture.
Right.
Just a small action that moves you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Remember, every journey, no matter how epic, begins with a single step. And keep in mind Jack's story.
Yeah.
Those small, consistent steps, fueled by passion and a willingness to embrace the challenges, can lead to incredible transformations.
They really can.
So go out there, embrace that learning process, and discover the joy of pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible.
Yeah.
You might just surprise yourself with what you can achieve.